Recording is on and you're welcome.
Thank you. I'll just start by sharing my screen. Okay. 1 minute, just getting set. Okay. Okay. I hope you will be able to see that.
Looks good, yeah.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, so hello everyone. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sharika Nandakumar, and I have been with the HCLDX team, engineering team, since last 2 years, and working with products, DAM and CI/CD tooling mostly. So I work as a developer here, and today's session is about CI/CD tooling. So let's get into that. So I will start by a small introduction into what is CI/CD. Continuous integration, continuous delivery, these are terms we always hear. So continuous integration is basically a development methodology where developers will be able to parallelly code, build, integrate and test their changes, faster and in a continuous fashion. So that enables continuous validation throughout the development cycle. And this, in fact, enables the continuous delivery that is releasing the software and the features faster. So in short, we can get a lot of benefits out of it, like fast and low risk releases and improved bug fixing, immediate bug fixing, and feedback immediately. Like we can monitor performance and notify of the issues, and those will be able to release faster as well. So these can all be done, and in short, we get a high quality, better product at low cost. So having understood the importance of CI/CD, now everyone is shifting. So how we can introduce the CI/CD in DX? So our goals for this were very simple, 3-pointer goals. Starting with, it should be a simplified interface for a developer, an administrator who's able to, who has to do this all the CI/CD related tasks, like deploying a portlet or deploying a script application, themes. These are all daily activities for most, and this should be a simple interface for that. Then another thing is, like, we should be able to integrate the DX processes into any automation infrastructure. Like it could be Jenkins, it could be Travis, whatever it is of your choice. The third part of it is that it should be platform independent of, obviously, because DX runs in so many different systems. So be it Linux, be it Mac, be it Windows, be it Kubernetes cluster. So all this, it should be able to function with minimal footprint and easy installation. And so from there, what we got is like as a tool that will make it possible, and that is DX Client. But then what is DX Client? So I think most of you who are already DX users will be familiar with certain tools in DX, like XML Access, which used to manage pages and portlets, the VAS admin tool, which is heavily used for the deploy of EARs and stuff, WebDAV APIs for the themes, obviously, the REST APIs that are there, and the script application command line tools, which is used to push, pull, etc. The script applications, portlets. So all these, and there are more. And all these tools are currently, like, you need to install Java, you need to install Jython, and so many different things to it. So what we have done is this is the idea that we started with, that we brought all this together into a single into a single umbrella. It's a single framework that is called as DX Client, which is basically powered by some internal APIs that we call as DX Connect APIs, which rest in the DX core side, of course. So this is a simple Node.js tool, and it's just you need to install the Node.js and run the installation commands, and then you have that both you will be able to install in both Linux and Windows and Mac, and you just need to set some configuration file where it will enable you to work in standalone Kubernetes cluster environment, anything. So this is the high level overview of what is DX client all about. Moving on, I will show you some use cases that with the tool, so that it's more you get a more idea on that. So I hope you are able to see my command line here. So before
Yes.
that, yeah. So before that, I don't know if I logged in there. So the DX client will be available in the FlexNet. I think I just lost access. So the DX client will be available in the FlexNet as a zip file. Just to show you that, it will be in some format like this. And here you might find an old version there because we are about to release a new one, which is in 192, and I have one latest here. So yeah, I have already unzipped it, and it is in a folder structure. Now, what is there in this folder? So we have all the node modules and all the make installation commands and some samples and configuration files available. Even to check logs, we have the logger folder and so on. So let's go ahead and try to install this. So you need to make sure that you have installed a node version which is more than 12.18.3. That is kind of a prerequisite for this. So once this is installed, you should be able to see a help command. First, I will show you the version. Yes, and then there is a help command which shows you all the list of artifacts that are currently there, and a slide, a small description on what the tool does, what are the parameters, etc. So for each of these commands as well, we have help commands available. So if I just go into deploy theme, which is one of our latest, and -h, it provides me a list of command line arguments that you need to pass. Now the list of course looks a little bigger, so but there is nothing to worry. There is most of these are general parameters which are generic environment parameters that are required, and that can be easily configured in a config.json file. So let me just show you where that is. As you see, this is the config.json file. It contains all these parameters that are already present in the command line as well. So here, whatever you set, it will be the default for those. And the rest parameters, if you wish to overwrite it, you may pass it through the command line. So that's the whole point of providing a configuration, that you should be able to set some of these. Now, let us go ahead and install, deploy a theme. I have some commands here because I'm quite lazy now. So presently I told you this is connected to one of the local environments, and that is this Docker Compose environment, which last meeting Tim had demoed. So for those who skipped that meeting, just a little recap that this is a tool that basically is defined and defines that and runs multi container Docker applications together. So we have a lot of containers, as you see here in this. We have the DX core container, the DAM containers, the ring containers, and all runs together with a single command like Docker compose up. That's it. So I have already, have my application up. So let me try to log in as well to see if it is still up. Okay, so maybe I'll use the Ring API to just log in. this is one of our, this is a Ring API that we use. The APIs, which allows us to use a lot of new APIs that that are there for content creation and workflows. So here I have the authentication as well. So that is successful. Yes, so we have the home page here. Now let me just go ahead and run the deploy theme command. So while this is running, I'll explain what are the parameters here for the ER. This is an ER. This is for the ER deployment, ER-based theme deployment. So there we need to give an application file, which is basically the EAR that we need to deploy, an application name for the EAR, and also an XML file to register. So what this does is it combines all the process that you do, like start an application, set up the install the application, set up the app manager, start it, and then register it all together in a single command. So while this is running, this might take some time. I will also show you some samples that are there. So in the DX client folder, you will be able to see a samples folder, which will also contain some Groovy files and the sample configurations as well. Because for Cube environment, the configurations might be new to many, and hence we have included a copy for that. And there are some Groovy pipelines, which we have given as a sample, along with some export XMLs as well, because it just helps you to play around with this tool. So while this is happening, I'll just go and also log into the admin console to see if we will be able to see the theme registered. I mean, installed once it is installed and started once it is done. One more point I wanted to, sorry. Okay. So we also have some native Cube development environments. So what I'll also show you is a pipeline, through a pipeline, how we will be able to work with this DX client. So let me just get everything opened. So this is getting opened. Okay, this is taking time because it is Docker. It will take some time for this to work out. So while that is happening, I'll just go ahead and show you our development. We have some pipelines. I showed you some pipelines in the samples. So those things we have integrated into one of our Jenkins environment, and there we have also configured some parameters, which I show how that is configured. Let me give my credentials. Sorry for this. It's just logged out because of some network issue. So we'll keep checking. Yeah, so this is successful. As you see, we get the logs messages on that the application is installed, it is uploaded, the XML execution started, and the theme execution is successful, and even the registration is successful. So now that is done, so we'll just go ahead and see here also if this is able to get that custom theme started. There it is already started. So now we will also try to see if this is actually working as we expect. For that, I will just go into the Site management, create a page, and so let's try to just apply this theme and see if it is able to apply it. So one more command is there for the web dev deployment. I will run that also parallelly. So in web dev deployment, the only difference is that you need to give two different parameters, that is a theme name and a theme path. So the path could be a simple folder or a zip file even, and also the XML file to just register it. So let's run this web dev theme also while we bring this up. So here I'm going to give a title SER. And then let us see, yes, it has been registered. So see, it's already applied the theme as well. So that's nice. And I will also try to create one more page. I think the web dev deployment was also successful. That happens fast. So here I have the simple Charita. That is what I've given. And then so now I should have two pages here, one with the ER theme and then one with the web dev based theme as well. So very good. Now we'll just move on to the pipelines that are there. So I think I showed you some sample pipelines here, and we have currently for script portlet, script application, theme, and restore as well. So I'll just show you restore. In this, you need to configure some of the parameters like the credentials and the environmental parameters. Here we have used our own required parameters, some agents, to credentials, and the parameters I want to bring attention to are these. That's the host name, the protocol, the port. So here, as you see, I'm using one of the native kube setups that I have spawned out. In any kube environment, you need to give all the port numbers as 443, and hence that is why that is documented. You will be able to see it also. Kubernetes is enabled with the CF192. Just to note that. So here I will just log into that native kube environment. And let me try to see if I can view the script application that I had put earlier, so that we can try to, there seems to be some Chrome issue. Okay, I will just open it in Firefox. Yes. So again, I think there is some issue with the login in my portal, but let's see if we are able to get the API Explorer, or I'll just go ahead and trigger the pipeline and then I will come into that. So here you have to enter the content ID. Oh, I think that is the content ID. Just give me a minute while I'll just try to log into that. Otherwise, it is a little difficult for me. Okay. So the API through the API Explorer also I can log in as I showed earlier. I'm facing some issue which I will debug later, not now. Generally, these local environments work very well. Just that the Docker Compose is a little slow, but okay.
You made a typo. Double
Yeah.
PX in the second, the password.
VPS. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So let me try to refresh that. Seems to be some issue with the home page that I'm having. Okay. I will do one thing. I will just go ahead and trigger the pipeline while that the issue I sort this one out, because there is no point in delaying that. So here I'm just going to, I think the last version I used was 3. So I'll just go ahead and do it as 4. Yeah, sorry, it's already logged in. Give me a moment, please. I hope I'm not taking too much time here. But I just need to see the script application that I had previously did, so that it's, I can take the same content ID and do that, restore. So here I have a sample slide application, and yeah, let me just take this content ID. I think it is almost the same. And here I will be able to see the versions as well, which is there. Yeah, so the latest one is 5. So I will just try to go back to 4. Maybe there is also a page that is already having this. Yes, so this is the current script application that is there. So let us try to change it into 4, the previous version of it. This here in the pipeline, we have the stages also described, which is basically installing the DX client into an independent agent and running the restore command with the parameters that we have given. So now that restore is successful, we'll just do a hard refresh and see if it is able to reflect that. Yes. So that is on the restore script application as well. So that these are 2 use cases that we have recently added, but you will find the Portlet script application, etc., already in place, and it was demoed in the DX Inspire. So please go ahead and check there. So to conclude, what we have today are basically the ability to deploy and undeploy vaults, script applications, and we have the XML access as a separate command to manage the portlets, pages and portlets, the restore script application, and deploying EAR and web database themes, and even registering them. So this much we have already covered, and what's coming up is one is obviously the ability to roll back the themes if you find any issues. So undeploying the themes and then restart the DX server is one requirement that we heard, which is essential, which helps a lot of developers. Then we have deploy EAR, which is also again independently just deploying the EAR. That is also something that we wanted to provide. Then along with that, the ability to enable and disable syndication. Again, this is the starting point of how we can help to bring DevOps into content as well. But yeah, on top of this, we like to get a feedback from you all to understand what we need some feedback on what we can do more in this, or how we can improve the tool and make it better. So that's about what I had to present. Any questions?
Yes. Dennis, this is Daniele. I would stop the recording here so we can go all out with questions. Okay.